Alright, hello and welcome to Fast 9 qualifying for the Indy 300. 92, aha, there's Forza. Alright, we will be getting started very soon here. We have, we got 6 drivers. There's supposed to be 1 later, so we're at least going to get 7 for this. Or 8. Maybe 9. You never know. But first up is going to be Kel-Chan, who will be running 5 laps by themselves and see how good they can do. Now, if you're not aware how Fast 9 works, it's very traditional qualifying for the Indy 500, so we're doing it for the Indy 300. Basically, we take the first 9 cars from regular qualifying and put them into their own separate qualifying session. It determines the first 3 rows of the race, because this race is going to start 3 wide. So, first, second, and third are all going to start on the front row. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are going to start on the second, and so on and so forth. So we have Kel-Chan here. There's a black and green machine. And, let's get it underway. Let's see if I can't pull up, that'll be fine. Yeah, but this should be a really fun session because this is, the pressure is on for these drivers. Because if you are in the Fast 9, you are locked into the first 3 rows at the very least. But this is a great way to get yourself into a better starting position, even if you didn't qualify that well to begin with. Kel-Chan here did qualify 9th out of our 9 drivers for the Fast 9, so they will be going first. We're going in reverse order to build up the tension a little bit. As they come in for their first flying one here. Crossing the line at about 250. These cars are fast. Heading down to turn 1, looking pretty good through there. That bumpy short shoot into turn 2. Painting that white line down the bottom, out into the backstretch. But you want to make sure that you have a good qualifying lap here. At least one of them. Oof. Touching the grass a little on the inside, that's going to cause them to wash up to the outside. That's going to not help their lap. But we have, this is for the first 3 rows, and you could be in 9th, you could be Kel-Chan starting 9th right now, but you could do a really good Fast 9 compared to everybody else, and you can start on the front row. Obviously, you want to get the pole here, not only are you starting pole, first car going in turn 1, but it's also a pride thing. You're on pole for Indianapolis. Like, come on. That's cool. But second and third are still going to be starting on the front row, and, that's where I want to be, so. Well, that's where you want to be until a car in row 2 forgets to brake heading into turn 1, or just doesn't, acknowledge you, and you get wiped out. But, Crossing the line here. Heading on to the 3rd lap. They set down a 36.553. Rounding turn 2. Seems to cut down a little hard through turn 2. Let's go to game camera to get a little bit better view here heading into turn 3. Much neater than the time they washed up through here. So one thing you're going to hear me... Ooh, nearly got to the outside wall there. One thing you're going to hear me rag on about during qualifying, during the race, is being smooth and consistent. That's what matters here. And you can see it, that I noticed that turns 3 and 4 were super smooth and consistent, and that helped Kel-Chan put down a 36.389. That's a pretty fast time. But they still have a couple more here to go. Actually, I think it's the last one. But, ooh, little down, clipped the cone a little bit. Ooh, gonna hit the wall coming out of 4. That's pretty much them done. I don't know if damage is turned on for this. It might be. Yeah, show me the telemetry. Well, if the damage is turned on, somehow they didn't get any damage after hitting the wall there. But unless this lap is faster, it looks like they're going to lock themselves in with a 36.389. That's a pretty good starting time. Good benchmark for the rest of the field here. As they round the final corner. The dangerous turn number 4. Coming across the bricks one last time. That's going to be a 36.527, so their final time for qualifying will be a 36.389. Return to the pre-race menu, and we shall wait for our next driver. Our next driver will be Rosenquist, and should be getting started pretty soon here. So we're just going to hold on and wait. I believe we're getting all the stuff sorted out at the moment, and we will be heading to our next qualifier quite soon here. Yep, well, I need a ready spectate. That would be helpful. But, you know, this should be pretty fun still. I mean, that was fun watching Kelchan go around. So, I'm excited to see how these drivers do. You know, I love the pressure of Fast 9. I think it's such a unique way to do qualifying, you know, and set those first 3 rows. No, we have Scarlett in the game. Well, we're at least going to get 7 qualifiers, hopefully. Now, if you are unaware of the qualifying, if you're on the Discord or you're just not paying attention, which is fair, the qualifying order is going as follows. Kelchan, Rosenquist, Skoda, Unku, Silesia, I think I said right now, I'm sorry, Scarlett, Alfie, Fishy, and Snowball. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, this is reverse order from how they set their times down. So that means Snowball set the fastest, Fishy sent the second fastest, and so on and so forth. But everybody's readied up here, so we should be going in just a moment, I would believe. Yep, launching. Right on time. Now, one big thing about qualifying here is that, well, I mean, just qualifying in this format, you really gotta just take a deep breath, chill out, and just run some good laps. You can't get yourself worked up. You can't, you know, think about it too much, because if you do, you're going to be putting down terrible times. You're going to be too twitchy. You're going to start hitting the wall. You're going to start washing up out of the groove. You know, it's going to be a problem. But we have Rosenquist here in this nice not alone car, as we saw from Kelchan as well. A lot of not alone cars in this Indy 300. But it's always good to see. And they are underway, heading out for their first flying lap. When they come back, it'll be the first time lap. I'm going to follow them here in the replay cams, just to mix it up a little. I need to pull up my Twitch on my phone so I can actually see the chat if anyone's chatting. Alright. one thing that is very unique about Indianapolis is, obviously, whenever you think of an oval or you think of, the left turn racetracks, you think, oh man, all these turns are exactly the same. They're not. And Indianapolis is a fantastic example of that. Indianapolis, all 4 turns are very, very different. When you're looking on as a spectator, you might not be able to tell, but when you're driving, you can feel it. In my opinion, I think turns 3 and 4 are super, super tricky. Turn 3, it always feels like you're going too fast going into that corner, and you're going to want to back out and throttle, but you can't, you're going to lose time. Turn 4, it seems like everything's going great until you're coming out of the turn, and then the wall's there, and you knock it down and break your car. So, you just gotta, be ready for it. Practice makes perfect, as they say. And I believe Indianapolis is a track where that matters more than anywhere else. But Rosenqvist put down their first flying lap and is a 36.521. Saw something similar from Kelchan on their first flying lap. So it's safe to assume that Rosenqvist will be getting faster here. Heading down the backstretch, heading into turn number 3. Oh, they were able to dip down to that white line a little bit there. Nice line through turn number 4 there. Maybe a little far inside, but that's a little nitpicky. Crossing the brakes, 36.414. Still lots of time to improve here. But I was mentioning before that turns 3 and 4 I think are the most challenging, but let's not discount turn 1 and 2. Turn 1 is one of those turns that, that's a make or break turn, in my opinion. You see a lot of passes there in real life and in Forza. And of course, it's turn 1 for when everybody's starting the race. So, there should be some really interesting moves made there tomorrow, on Sunday. But the short chute between 1 and 2 is really, really tricky. It's super bumpy there. We might be able to see here as Rosenqvist comes through. Yeah, look at that. Look how that suspension's traveling on that car. And the entrance of turn 2 is also pretty bouncy. And that's going to upset your car. That's going to upset how, the car's driving into weight balance as well. So you need to, be prepared for that. Maybe adjust your suspension a little bit. Now, for the race, we'll be running spec tunes because there's some weird Forza shenanigans going on where I forgot what it is, but it's something along the lines of, if you have different graphic settings, your car's faster or slower. I don't remember. It's stupid because this game is not well optimized. Who would have guessed? Maybe, a game that didn't have replay for the first, 6 months. Maybe it's not very well made. But that's besides the point. But Rosenqvist did put down a 36.355. That is a pretty good time right there. Always going to be looking for drivers to get into the 36.3s here. Nobody's gotten into the 35s, and I don't think we'll see it except during the race. Which, I think we might see it during the race due to drafting, but I don't think anybody's going to do that on their own. That is just such a hard time to do. It's possible, but it's not easy. Rosenqvist here on their final lap. I think they might be letting off. I think they might have, yeah, well, let's... Yep, they're just cruising around right now. And just coming to the finish. But that's going to be their time at 36.355. Which will put them as our provisional first place. I just want to make sure that was correct, and it is. But we've already had 2 drivers run. We still have at least 6 more. So stay tuned, because we still got some more drivers come up. We're going to have some really fast laps, I believe, soon. This is going to be great to see this every time that we're doing qualifying. We're going to see everybody get up on the podium and celebrate. Oh! Rosenqvist is a genie. They're levitating. I don't know if that's illegal during the race. I might have to get the marshals to take a look at that, because, that seems unfair for the other competitors. I'm going to be honest. That seems a little unfair. Maybe I'm out of line. But we're waiting everybody to get readied up and get in the lobby and all that. And that's what I'm saying, Okui. That's what I'm saying. That should not be allowed at racetracks. Maybe I am being old man yelling at the clouds, but I don't think we should be allowing dark magic at racetracks. I think it's unfair. You should not have to be a mage or a wizard. It seems unfair for the non-magically inclined of us, like me. But that aside, we're moving on to our next driver here. And of course, the beautiful Renault-inspired hamburger racing sport car. With that hot dog on the side. And it's Skoda, who will be doing our third qualifying run of tonight. I think we will actually go with a little on-board camera here as they start their first lap here. This will give you a nice sense of speed. I mean, this car's already up to 240 miles an hour, just about. So it's always impressive to me how fast these cars are. They're just so quick. Watching it on TV just does not do it justice. And I'm so glad that IndyCar, the regulations have allowed for these cars to be faster, because it's so fun to watch the Indy 500. And it always feels like there's always some fun to be had every year. Even if the race seems a little boring, there's always some cool stuff that makes you want to watch the race. But speaking of watching, we're watching Skoda head down into turn 3 here. Ooh, blip the throttle a little bit. I wonder if they bounced off the rev limiter. Wasn't quite sure. The audio cut out, but I'm not sure if that was a throttle lift or bouncing off the rev limiter. Either way, that will slow them down a little bit. You don't need to let off through that turn. But their first lap's going to be a 36.487, a good first flyer. But they're going to have to improve if they want to move up in the time charts. Coming out of turn 4, looking smooth through there. We're halfway in the shadow of the catch fence. Heading into turn 3. Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a lift. I don't think you need to lift through these turns if your tune is set up correctly, but I also might be a little faster to do that. I don't know. I did run 15 practice laps here, but it wasn't very fast, so, whew. Skoda's been down a 36.337. That'll move them to the top of the time, or, as they hit the wall in the short tube between 1 and 2. Good thing they sat down that time and, did that before they hit the wall. But, I mean, this lap's not going to be that good as a result. I mean, you hit that wall once, you're done around here in terms of lap time. For that lap, it's over. Wrap it up, it's over. But they still do have a few more laps here to see if they can do a little better. Oh, wow. They still put out a 36.382 despite hitting the wall. That's a rapid time for a little bit of contact. They still have a few more laps here, so, I mean, they could still improve. And, with how these cars, how close they've been so far, that's something, you're going to get as far out in front of the other cars as you can. Oh! I don't know if that might have been Forza. That might have been a little net code on Forza's part. I mean, it was a 36.44, but, that car kept up its speed after just pounding the wall in turn 4. And, if you are, if you want to make bets, I'm not a betting man, but I think turn 4 is going to see the most action during the race and during qualifying for cars having contact there. And it did sound like they bounced off the rev limiter here, so I think that's what's happening with this car. Little off the mark through there, a little out of the groove. They cross the bricks one more time. It's at 36.438, and that will be their final lap. So they will lock themselves in with a Jesus. They will lock themselves with a 36.337 and move to the top of the charts for now. And there's some spooky stuff happening in Forza right now. It's not even Halloween yet. I'm really hoping we don't have this problem during the race, because, you know. Yeah, that was jarring. Are they out of fuel? I was wondering why they're going so slow. Well, they got the perfect fuel load in for their allotted laps. You know, it's just they're gonna have to coast across the start-finish line to finish the race. Didn't mean their car was pretty light. It's just, you know, they're gonna break down in like turn 1 and have to get the pit crew to push them back. Get a safety truck to do it. Oh, we're coming across the line at a whopping 46 miles an hour. Still in 6th gear. 3,000 RPM in 6th gear. Oh, it's slowing down. These fans are going crazy for 40 miles an hour. Look at these packed grandstands. Cross the line at 35. What a finish. But yeah, that's still a very good time. I just thought that was a little comical. Oh, here we go. Celebration for top of the charts. I mean, everybody's going to get this despite what time they put down. Celebrating for running out of fuel. Yeah, baby. Woo! Oh, more teleportation and levitation. You know, I think we might have a cheating problem here. You know how baseball had the steroid scandal in the late 90s, early 2000s? I think that's what's going on in here. I'm not saying steroids, but I think we're seeing a lot of drivers using dark magic to get ahead here. And personally, I think that kind of ruins the integrity of the sport. But that's just me. The next car up will be Unku, our lobby host, and hopefully after they're done with their run, they will be able to do commentary with me, which will be nice because I haven't had a co-commentator in a while, and I'm not sure I'm going to have one for the Indy 300, so you're going to have to listen to me yap for like 2 hours. Whether that's good or bad depends on how you like my commentary. So we're on a black screen, because of course we are. It's Forza. Ooh, here was something. There we go. Alright, here we have Unku in the Husky Chocolate car. I was really, really happy to see this thing. This is one of my favorite liveries in IndyCar at the moment. So it was really cool to see that somebody's running this. It's just a really iconic livery. But Unku, I believe they mentioned that this is their first Indy 300. Obviously, they've hosted the other ones that we've done. But this is the first one they've actually run themselves. So, should be interesting to see what they can do here. Obviously, they did qualify well. They got into the Fast 9. But, you know, let's see how they do when the pressure's on. We'll make sure you get a good run out of 3 and 4 here to set you up for your first flyer. A little bit of a sharp turn on the exit of 4, it felt like there. But they're going to come across the bricks the first time here. Well, I mean, that was the fastest opening lap so far, but that's not going to really count for much. Maybe it's an omen. Who knows? Now, I should clarify, most of these drivers are on controller. However, I believe there is 1 or 2 that are on wheel, which being on a wheel here is a huge, huge advantage. You can be much, much more smooth than a controller driver can, which means you can be a little faster. It's the way it works in Forza. I feel like for that is, if you're on a wheel, your advantages are going to be oval racing and drifting. Everywhere else, controller's probably better, but you still can keep up on wheel. And obviously we are in an oval, so wheels will be very, very helpful here. But who did set down a 36.463 as their first lap. Heading into turn 3 here, a little low, clipped a cone. Keeping a low through there as well. Getting a good run out of turn 4. Let's see what lap time they set. 36.342. I believe they'll book them provisionally second behind Skoda. But that's a fast lap around this 2.5 mile racetrack. I mean, you got to think as well. You know, we're counting here in tenths and hundredths and, you know, thousandths of a second. And these drivers are putting down, you know, less than 40 seconds around 2.5 miles. That's how fast these cars are going. Just bounding into turn 1 here. A little low, felt like through there. A little low through there. That's gonna cost him out of the turn. That's one thing you gotta be really, really careful of. If you get too low too early, the car's gonna want to wash out on exit. It's gonna push you up towards that wall. So you're gonna have to either hit the wall, or you're gonna have to make corrections to avoid the wall, and that's gonna cost you time still. So either way, you're still gonna be scrubbing off time, whether that's because the wall hit, or because you had to scrub the tires. Now, that's why you want to be consistent through the corner. Some tracks, some ovals, you can diamond through the corner. You can't do that here. You got to stay tucked down to the bottom. This is a one-groove racetrack. You can go side-by-side through the turns, but it's going to slow both drivers down. Racing in Indy is a lot more about getting runs out of corners. Get up behind somebody, do some drafting, either get them going down into a turn, use that slingshot, or get a better run off the corner than them. Use the draft to get by them on straightaway. That's usually the best way to pass here. But Unku will finish with a 36.342, which, like I said, I believe will put them second provisionally. Obviously, we still have some more drivers to go, but pretty good time there. Let me check race control real fast. Yep, I believe that will put them provisionally second. Skoda is still our provisional pole at the moment. Actually, hold on. Let me, I have no idea how that looked on stream. Just updating the thing. Balls, he did it too! That was mine! Maybe I should have been paying attention. That's what I'm saying. There's dark magic happening. According to Forza, Skoda apparently had a top speed of 374 miles an hour on somebody's screen. Yeah, I think that might be a little faster than these cars are capable of. I'm gonna say it. I think there might be a little bit of, rule bending going on. That's a little messed up. We're still waiting on our next driver here, which will be Salesa. Salesa? Feel free to correct me. I'm sure it is, Unku. But you won't get any judgment from me? No, that's a lie, you will. I'll be watching every move. No pressure. Well, as we're launching here for our next driver. The classic Forza black screen of load. Riveting gameplay from Forza Motorsport. I'm waiting to start race. Maybe we'll be in sooner rather than later. Maybe. Aha! We are in. Oh, it's the Bic Lighters car sponsored by Mercedes-Benz and Puma. Some other sponsors on there, but I can't really see because my graphics settings are turned down. And hey, I know it doesn't look good, but it runs good. And well, that's really what matters for broadcasting. Yeah, shift to the replay cameras to look at this black, purple, and gold car. Add a little green in there to be almost Mardi Gras colors. Wrong time of year, but, you know, I'm never going to complain about Mardi Gras. It's time for king cakes. King cakes are some good food, if you've never had them. Makes you feel very fat when you eat it, though, because, like, I mean, that's a lot of sugar. It's good, though. I personally like it. But anyways, king cakes aside, Celeste is going to start their first flyer here. Coming across the bricks, heading down to turn 1. So I've just been notified by Inku in the chat that Celeste is the first car to go 21% fuel, and everyone else went 20% so far. Which really does bring up the question, how did Skoda run out so fast? They ran out on the backstretch. I don't think any other cars have run out of fuel. That might be something to keep an eye on for the race. So Lisa is going to set down a 36.432 as their first one here. Running a few more laps, obviously. And have time to improve upon it. Well, Kelcham was also 21% fuel, they think. Thanks, Unku, for the misinformation campaign of fuel percentages. Well, the fuel load is not going to do a whole lot in terms of affecting the lap time, though, because that is a 36.383. That's a pretty good lap time. And I believe they can go a little faster here. But obviously, for fuel load, you're going to want to have the least amount possible in the car without actually running out of fuel. Obviously, Skoda did run out of fuel, but that was after their qualifying laps were done. So, you know, no harm, no foul. It's just a little funny. But you don't want to set down to 19 and run out right before you hit the start-finish line on your final lap. 36.376. Getting faster. These laps have been steady improvements for this car. Somebody's joined a group. And that's all you can really hope for qualifying laps. You want to be steady improvement. And, you know, get a little better each time. And hey, even if you don't qualify well here, as long as you're good for the race, that's what really matters. I think they hit the wall a little bit there. And change to the car cam. And this will be their final flying lap here they're coming on to. Yeah, they definitely hit the wall. That was a 37. They lost 7 cents there. But they still have time for one more. Here's to see what they do here. Looking good through turn 3. Through the short chute there. Into turn number 4. Nice and smooth. Rounding the final turn. Coming back to the bricks. Let's see what they do. 36.4, so they're going to have their fastest time be a 36.376. Which, if we go to race control... Oh, getting some music out of the IndyCar. I don't know what position that puts him. I can't count. Why do you think I commentate? I don't do math. Whoa, watch the cones! But they're, you know, this will not be pole position. They'll be starting, like, 4th, I think, provisionally. Oh, good finish. But we're going through these qualifying laps pretty fast. Which is good, because I need to go eat dinner at some point. yeah, qualifying. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, baby. Woo! Yeah. And get ready for the whoop. More sorcery. This is why we're not doing the race in, like, you know, the 1600s and, like, Salem. Because people, you know, they'd be burned at the stake. That shit was fucked up. I can wait for everybody to get readied up here. And we'll move on to our next driver, which will be Scarlett. A long-tenured driver of FVEC. Oh, hello, Unku.
Hello, hello. Just coming in here for this run before we get underway. The current delta between first and fifth place, I know we're only halfway through the Fast 9, but it is 0.052, about half the length of a human blink. It is very, very close this year.
That's absurd.
It very much is. There is still obviously quite a bit of time. We haven't had anyone go into the twos yet, which it's very likely to happen. There was a number of people into the twos, myself included, before Fast 9 got underway.
I'm very curious to see if we get anybody getting down in there.
We're reaching towards the faster end of the field. 4 more still to run up to Scarlett's up next. We're waiting for people to get into the ready spectate. I might have to go back down there and yell at them to do so, but...
Oh, we got 3 drivers that are not in the ready spectate yet.
Oh, one of them's just
Well,
left out.
well, they weren't readied up.
Well. Hopefully it has been a good watch so far, though.
I mean, I've been having fun. But I guess I'm a little biased. Nope. People have readied up. Still waiting. There we go.
It just required me to give them a quick tell. So there we go. That is everybody in the ready spectate.
So how did you feel about your lap?
I mean, it's my first time doing this event as an excuse me, I cannot speak properly. First time doing this event as an actual driver. I was supposed to do it, I think, back 2023. However, unfortunately, some things came up and I had to go back to an administrative role for that. It is not the best. Could have went faster, but I'm still happy enough. I've reached Fast 9 on my rookie attempt. So
yeah, I mean, that's good work. Was it 2020?
With,
okay.
Sorry. I was just going to say, especially with the most competitive year we've ever seen for this event, it is incredibly quick.
Stupid competitive. But was it 2023 or 2024 where I had to be the pace car? Like, I had to leave commentary and go to the pace car?
I don't remember exactly. It was one of those years. That was a bit of a shambles for an event, but...
Hey, I mean... Hey, as soon as... Look, I'm not saying nothing, but as soon as I became pace car, things were back on track.
That is true. But we've changed some of our procedures. We're not going to have a situation like that. We have just made it so that the leader of the race becomes the pace car if we can't get an actual one. So we shouldn't have another situation like that. And we're also running on the new game now, which is more stable than 7. Anyway, coming over the line, the outlap for Scarlett, that's going to be a 44.9. That's the fastest we've seen so far. That's very quick for an outlap.
I think you said a faster one. Or it was about the same.
No, I was a 45 something, I'm pretty sure. That's the first we've seen dip into the 44s.
No, there was another car that dipped down to the 44s.
Well, I guess I'm just mistaken. It's hard to keep track of whenever you're doing...
Maybe I might be mistaken. I never claimed to be a smart man.
The VOD will tell us. Anyway, rounding through the turn, quite low down there.
Yeah, ooh. Getting right up to the wall coming out of 4 there.
Indeed, she was. Over the line. First lap's going to be a 36.480. A little bit on the slower side of what I expected at Scarlett. But
yeah. Most of these first laps are in the 4s.
That is true. Mine also was that as well. I think most of my laps in general are in the 4s.
Hey, consistency. And I mean, that's a good time to be running consistently.
It very much is. If you're running somewhere in the mid-3s, you're actually looking at a quite fair shot at winning the race if you can keep up with the pack and avoid any incidents.
Yeah. Well, personally, obviously, yeah, you want to have fast, consistent times, but I think it comes down to survival.
It is always race survival.
That's triple threes!
That is a new professional pole.
Yep.
For the event, up to the top. And of course, there is still some fuel to burn down as well. It's only going to be getting faster from here on out. She can keep it out of the wall and on the track.
Bouncing off the rev limiter heading to turn 3. Getting right up there in the short chute.
Definitely much so. Quite back low as well. The rev limiter in these cars is a bit deceiving. You think you're going to bounce off it constantly in 5th, at least for the tune that I'm running, but it never does so. Over the line, it's going to be a 319. We're getting closer to the 2s.
We are working our way down the times.
And turn 2, that's getting very low down there.
Really starting to explore the track.
That's one thing I've noticed is that the low line on turn 2 and the high line up turn 4, they are very bumpy. You don't want to be out there too much if you can help it. Of course, the lower you get through a corner, the faster you're going to have a lap time, especially if you keep it smooth. Less drag through the corners, the better. Here we come, starting the final lap. Going to be a 36.351, goes slower on number 4.
At least on my end, they brushed the wall coming out of turn 4. So,
didn't quite spot that myself, but I believe you.
Well, it's Forza. It depends on what you're looking at, like whose screen you're on. If it is actually a thing.
Yeah, we are looking about 3 or 4 seconds. If it hits the cone, that's going to be it. That's going to lose a lot of speed. I did the same thing. I think on one of my laps, hit a cone through turn 3. They're still made out of tungsten in this game, so you lose a lot of speed.
Yeah, because some developer got the bright idea, let's put cones on the inside of the turns.
Take that screenshot. That is a new provisional poll for the event. Let me go and relate to race control. And I will take... So a 36...
Add a fuel.
1.9. That will give a delta of 0.07 from first to sixth. Average speed that lap, 247.804 miles an hour. We did have 5 cars hit 248 mile an hour average speeds. It's very likely we're going to see one of them hit it into this timeout as well.
I'd be very excited to see if we get that.
So am I. Anyway, I'm going to jump back down to the driver's channel to get things rolling once again. Thank you for having me. I might jump back up for the final run as well, but good luck for the rest of Fast 9.
Well, thank you. And yeah, thanks to Unku for joining me for that one run there. See Scarlett's celebrating their provisional pole here, and they're also going to be doing some celebration with some sorcery. Yep, there it is. The Forza Regulatory Authority is not doing their job. But yeah, we have a new provisional pole sitter, but of course, we still have a couple more drivers to go here, so that time might not last. As Unku did talk about, we did, we've had drivers down into the 0.2s, and we could see even faster. So, I'm excited. This is going to get hectic here. We're down to our final 3 drivers. Next up is going to be Alfie, who is currently deafened in Discord. That's fair though. That is they are allowed to be deafened if you don't want to get distracted by people yapping in your ear. Like me, I'm yapping in people's ears if you're watching. Ugh. That's been pretty fun so far. If you think this is fun, wait for the actual race. You have cars racing each other. Sure to have some chaos, if that's your thing. Just waiting on the go here. Some pit crew discussing strategy, presumably, in the background. Somebody taking notes. And we're on the black screen of something. Black screen of anticipation. Getting ready to start their qualifying session, as mentioned before, is Alfie, who is our 3rd best qualifier for our regular qualifying. But obviously, they got to go through the Fast 9, so they can end up anywhere from 1st place all the way down to 9th. So, I'm going to set down a good time here. It's number 57 racing for Brendan car, black and orange, a little bit of blue on the side. And they're off. Smoking the tires, as we've seen some drivers do. Whew, really smoking the tires. Let's see what their fuel is. Looks like they had 21% fuel. So I imagine they burned a little bit doing that burnout. I think we're going to go for a little onboard here for the first flying lap, just to change it up a tad. It's always so fun to watch these cars fly around here. Well, not actually fly, but you know, you can go fast. Alright, 46.9 is their first one, but I mean, obviously that's their out lap, so. First line one is now. See how much this car is bouncing. You see that shadow on the ground beneath the front wing is just, I mean, it's undulating constantly. Gives you a good sense of how rough it is in some of these corners. Pretty low there through turn 4. Not going to get quite all the way out to the wall. Across the bricks here. 36.373. That's a good sign for the first one. And, I mean, they're going to be losing fuel, so this car's going to be getting even faster. Down the long backstretch here at Indy, right by the golf course. Nice and smooth through the short chute. Come to the turn 4, out of turn 4, right up to the wall. That's what you like to see. I think this is going to be a fast time here. Oh, I was right! 36.280! That's our fastest time so far. Provisional pole for Alfie. Ah. I was unaware of that, Apex. Yeah, that's sad, but, you know, it's good the memory lives on with the car. And hopefully Alfie can, you know, get a win. But I was unaware that Curly had passed away. That's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. Another 36.2 there. Ooh, dipping down to the grass. That's not going to help their time. Ooh, they had to get really out of the throttle going there so they didn't hit the wall. Alfie's on one still. They still have one more lap to go. And the fastest yet. So, it's going to be, I mean, that time already is going to be hard to beat. Alright, final flying lap here. Rocking down in turn 1, going through the short chute here. Into turn 2, a little low. This is going to wash them up. Not quite that bad. Able to get a good run still. Also off the rev limiter into 3. Nice and smooth. Nice and consistent. Painting that white line down there. Coming out of turn 4, running along the wall, all the way back to the bricks for the final time. Even faster! That's a .260. That is going to be a tough, tough, tough time to beat. They set down 3.2s. Like, three laps that were in the 200s. That is impressive. Oh, they're about out of fuel. Yep. Ooh, that's a good noise. Enenku has just informed me using Twitch chat. That is 0.006 off the fastest lap of the weekend. 6 thousandths of a second. So, you know, I talked about earlier about not letting that pressure get to you. Alfie did not let that pressure get to him. Because, man, that was a good time. That's going to be real, real hard to beat. They're levitating in celebration. To get ready for our next driver to go. As I mentioned earlier, we're down to the final 3, which means we're down to our second to last driver, the penultimate one, if you will, and that is Fishy. Then the final driver will be Snowball after Fishy, which means we're almost done here, but, of course, these are 2 fastest drivers from qualifying, which does mean these drivers theoretically could still go to the top of the charts, but Alfie did not make it easy for them. Because, man, those were some super fast laps. Getting ready to go here. So wait for Forza to do its thing and load the track in the car. And get our next qualifier underway. We're almost done here with Fast 9. Another not alone car. Number 24. And they're off. Not spinning. Well, no, they do, but not nearly as bad as somebody like Alfie did, where they were smoking up the whole front stretch. That being said, Alfie did get a really good time, so maybe that's a strategy. Get those tires warmed up. But I believe Fishy is on wheel. I could be mistaken. Feel free to correct me. But I believe Fishy is on wheel, which will give them an advantage in the smoothness department through these corners. Yes, I was correct. You did confirm it. And I don't know if it's the same way in this game as it was in 7. I'm not experienced enough on this game, but I know in 7 before you could tell if someone was on controller versus on wheel because you would see their car twitch more on controller. Actually, I used to do judging for drifting, you had to take that into account. Because if somebody was on wheel, their car wouldn't twitch at all. And as a judge, you had to be like, okay, that car's twitching a little bit, it's doing that little side to side because the driver's on controller. And, well, I don't want to take the points off somebody for being on a different, input device. Unless they're on keyboard and mouse, but, I mean, no one was doing that. God, can you imagine doing the Indy 300 on wheel and mouse? Well, on keyboard and mouse? That sounds terrible. Ooh, a little bit of contact with the wall there. The first lap for Fishy is going to be a 36.385. That is a good lap for the first one. Car's only going to get lighter and only going to get faster as these laps wind down here. Ooh, bounced off the wall a little bit. I think that might have been Forza's thing. They're running really high right now. Pretty much everybody else has been running right down near the paint, but Fish has been running mid-groove. Still putting down a 36.3 there. Getting down in the paint there for turn 1. You can see they're running a little high in turn 2 compared to other drivers. Other drivers are putting their left side tires down into the paint. Interesting difference of strategy there. I mean, obviously you want to cut down the corner as much as you can, but also it matters to be smooth so you can get consistent runs out of the corners. Keep your speed up. So, you don't have to be paying that white line. I mean, as you see, 36.3, that's our second fastest time so far. And these have just been some butter smooth laps. Bouncing off the rev limiter a little bit. Means they got a good run out of turn 2, though, if they're bouncing off the rev limiter. Rounding turn 4. Coming down the front stretch here next to the pagoda. 36.313. A little slower, but not much slower. This will be the final flying one here. It's got to be a good one. Not sure about that run out of turn 4. We'll see if they bounce off the rev limiter here going into turn 3. A little bit, yeah. Bounce off the rev limiter. Turn 4, a little up off of the white line down there. Whew, they had to turn away from the wall there. I think that's going to slow them down a lot. Oh, I take it back. I don't know anything. That was a 36.221. I take it back, dog. I don't know what I'm talking about. I got to hang up the headset. I was like, oh, that's not going to be fast. No. Fishy making me look stupid, but the fastest lap of the weekend. Obviously, that will put them on provisional pole, but like I said, that is the fastest lap of the weekend. And so Fishy, spun in celebration. However, Fishy's out of fuel. That car's not making it back to the start-finish line. New record, but they broke it down in the backstretch. Yeah, just gonna quit out. Yeah, there was no way that car was gonna make it back. Whew. Those last two drivers put down some real fast times. And we haven't even gotten to our original provisional pole sitter, Snowball, yet. Snowball was our fastest qualifier of our first set of qualifiers. The first qualifying session to set up the Fast 9. And they're going to be looking to improve upon their time because, Fishy was faster than Snowball was originally. So, Snowball's going to have a real fast time if they want to get back that pole position. But, oh, hello. Welcome back.
Hello again. Back in for the final run, as I said it would be.
I was just about to say that our front row is almost completely locked up. Obviously, Snowball still has to go, but Alfie and Fishy have locked themselves into the front row. Barring any unforeseen circumstances.
Right, as soon as Scarlett gets into the spectate menu, we'll be underway. Are running a little bit behind compared to what we expected, but
it's not that far.
To be fair, we were meant to be done about 10 minutes ago, but yeah, we're not too bad. We're better than some leagues, I'll put it that way. Not gonna name names, especially because I work for them, but...
I can't say nothing. Look, I've run and been in competitive stuff too much on Forza for me to expect being on time.
Yeah.
I think you have to add Scarlett.
Yeah, just done that. Hopefully all the people in the voice channel are going to be yelling at her to do it. It's entirely possible she just isn't at her setup currently though, so I'm going to give it another minute, 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say 30 seconds. Anyway. Yeah,
they don't think she's here, so we're just going to go. Not too much of a problem.
Yeah, well, if she comes back, somebody else can stream screen.
That's true. Oh, 2 cars into the 2s right now. Snowball did hold the fastest lap of the entire week of qualifying, just up until that run by Fishy there, which we were saying actually as we watched that final run, it didn't look great. We had concerns over if she was going to make it on fuel, and it didn't look some of the greatest lines through some of those corners.
That's why
And then we all just got completely shocked by a 2:21.
That's why I said I gotta hang up the headset. I'm washed because I was like, oh, that's not going to be a fast time. Nope, fast time of the weekend.
It made all of us second guess ourselves because it did not look like it was going to be on the top of the shiny sheets, but I guess the surprises all around.
All right, our final driver here for Fast 9, Snowball, in this McLaren Honda-inspired livery. Of course, with the Hamburg sponsorship on the side.
The livery that inspired and created a very iconic in-server joke from a couple of years ago.
Very, very good joke. I can't do it justice. Because I'm not Scottish.
The funniest thing is that to this day, I still have no recollection of that actually happening. I didn't hear it happen.
I remember it happening!
I blanked it out whenever I heard it, but way the things have happened. Come around, turn number 4, start up the first blocking lap. Here comes Swivel down the front straight. Outlap is going to be, we've seen a variety of times, 45, 568. About an average outlap speed. We've seen average speeds go up to the top before. Decent through 1 and 2, I think through turn number 3. Keeping that car as close to the wall as you can without actually brushing against it. Gets turned in, gets down to the bottom, a little bit off the line, so you're not as close to the bottom as you could have been through the circuit through turn 3. Same again through turn 4. All the time is found at the bottom, but so is the bumps. They can really throw you off. First lap's going to be a 36.347 for Snowball.
You know, I gotta wonder as well if Snowball, you know, maybe Snowball's looking at what Fishy did in that previous lap. You know, their final flying lap to get that time. I mean, I know I would be. If I was a driver, I'd be looking for the race. I'd be like, all right, what did Fishy do? What did they do to get that time? I needed to be trying to do that.
A little bit twitchy coming through turn 3 there, I noticed on the rear end. But it is definitely something that is going to happen. You can see what every single driver before you does. There is no hiding in the Fast 9.
No, there is not.
363 going to be the second lap. Goes down, starting lap number 3.
A little high in turn 1. And that's about right for turn 2, I'd say. It's about where you want to be.
Close to the white line, running on it. As long as you don't hit those bumps on the lower part of the corner, you can get a lot of pace if you get onto that white line. 3 and 4 is where you got to be really careful though. If you hit into those cones, you're just going to hemorrhage time for the rest of the lap, and even invalidate, well I say invalidate, make it so that your next one is going to be null and void.
Yeah.
Finishing lap number 3 over the line, it's going to be a 3:15 for Snowball. That puts him onto the front row at the very worst.
And that still is provisionally 3rd right now, which means, you know, they did get here, you know, started Fast 9 in 1st, but they may not hold on to that for very long thanks to the efforts of Alfie and fucking Fishy. I forgot for a minute. I'm sorry, Fishy.
You wouldn't be the first person to forget some names in the commentary. I've done the same thing myself, even when they're right in front of me. Finishing up number 4, 36.261. That puts him middle. No, it doesn't. That puts him 1 millisecond.
I was going to say, I think that's 1 millisecond behind Alfie. Just a tiny little improvement. They'll get at least 2nd.
Needs to find 1 millisecond to match, 2 to move up. It's a little bit unsteady there through 3. Didn't get as low as he probably wanted to.
A little off the line there.
On the floor. I don't think that's going to be faster.
It might not be. Let's see.
That. Up to the line, it's a 36.
Oh, it was!
39. Not quite enough of the record, but sets him into the middle of row number 1.
That's a dangerous spot to be.
It's always a very dangerous spot.
But that's going to be it for Fast 9. That's all of our drivers.
That is indeed. I'll put it onto the document just now. Let me... I've copied the wrong thing. Whoops. So, Snowball 1 at a time of a 36.239. That gives him an average speed of 248.351 miles an hour. 3 cars in the 248s for this session. We have 5 of them for regular qualifying. And with that, we have our grid for tomorrow's big race. Starting on pole position for the biggest race on Formula Velocity's calendar is going to be Fishy with an absolutely rapid time of a 36.221. That is going to be the lap record, potentially for the rest of this event's lifespan.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's going to beat that. That's a heater. The driver we're looking at right here, Snowball, will be 2nd place on the 1st row. Joining him there will be Alfie, starting on the outside of row 1. What is the rest of our order, Nku?
Moving down the grid, so obviously we know the first row being Fishy, Snowball, and Alfie. Row number 2 on the inside is going to be starting Scarlety 42 for the Tanby teammate to the pole sitter as well. So they're having potentially a very good position on the inside row 1 and 2, starting 1st and 4th. Moving on down, 5th place, the middle of row number 2 is going to be Skoda VRS 8673, and the outside for row number 2 is myself. Further on down the grid, row number 3 inside goes to VNT Rosenquist. That is actually a position they wanted to be. The inside is very possibly a better place to be, especially compared to outside and middle row 1 and 2. Salasa takes 8th place, middle of row number 3, and Kelshan is 9th outside row 3. Further on down the grid, row number 4, inside is Loserette 6604, middle is NB Miata, and outside is McLaren MCL 35, better known as Sana to all of us here at FV. Row number 5, inside goes to Borna Jordi, the 3rd car of that main Tan B team. So they have the inside run there for potentially a very good finishing result if they get everything going their way on race day. Middle of that row is going to be Avex Miata, and outside is Just Be Rage. Moving on to row 6, the final row, Jagatron 2000 will take the inside. Stinky 3136 did qualify in the middle, and Trimus X14 on the outside. However, that middle car is unlikely to be making the start of the race.
All right, I mean, that'll do it for us for the Fast 9 here, and that was some exciting lap times, and it's going to be even more exciting tomorrow. I have a long race, got a lot of drivers, a lot of chaos probably, a lot of fun, a lot of action. So, me personally, I'm excited to be there. It's going to be what? It's 7 UK? 7 p.m.?
Yes, correct. 7 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. US Eastern, and whatever the rest of the world time zone is for you. I don't know them all off the top of my head.
Well, you're not the time wizard?
No, unfortunately, I am not a walking Wikipedia.
I'm disappointed, personally. But that'll be it for us. And be sure to join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK for the Indy 300, biggest race of the season. And, I mean, I'm going to be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you then. Have a good day or a good night.